Looking for love guidance or tips on how to date someone? Maybe you're single and playing the dating game, or in a long-term relationship. There's something to be learned about how to recognize love. Tune in to True Love Knots by Maria Romano as she deep dives into everything about love, dating advice, wedding tips, entrepreneurship, and so much more. No matter your relationship status, Maria Romano has something to teach you about love, romance, staying together, breaking up, and everything in between.
Hello, everybody. Maria Romano. Oh, well, that wasn't good. Maria Romano here, True Love Knots. How are you doing today? You would think I was drinking, and I'm drinking water and my tea. All right, I have a topic for you. Do you need a wedding officiant for your ceremony? Do you need a wedding officiant for your ceremony? And this is a hot topic. And this is the topic that you hear amongst couples that are getting married, and of course, amongst the group that I'm in, and I'm sure all across the country and maybe all across the world. Now, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Maria Romano. I am a licensed minister. Where else? In the wedding capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. And for over 10 years, I've performed wedding ceremonies. But in my previous life, I was president of my own car rental company. Yes, I ran a large car rental company here in Las Vegas. I was president, grew from 7 cars to over 1,800 cars at its peak. And we grossed about $18 million a year. So I definitely was in the corporate world, and, I was looking for a change, and I decided I wanted to do something different. So I started performing wedding ceremonies, so different, which I love. And I want to tell you, when I got involved in this, oh my God, my whole life has changed. My whole perspective on life has changed. And then, of course, I want you to know that I don't just talk about love, right? And officiants. And I do have a course on how to become a wedding officiant for those of you that are interested, but I'll share that in the end. But I also talk about finding love again. You see, I became a widow in my 50s, 57 to be exact, and I've been a widow for 10 years. So I know what it's like to get back in the dating world. And when you are a little older and you have children and grandchildren, and you're trying to blend lives, you can do it, because I get to meet people from all over the world, all walks of life, all ages, and it can be done. But it is a little different. Imagine bringing home your partner to meet your kids. It's worse than your parents. I can say that. But I also talk about finding love, as I said, and also love in the workplace. So that's a little bit about me, my backstory. But let's go back to the topic. Okay. Do you need a wedding officiant to perform your wedding ceremony? Now, let me share something with you. In most states, of course, across the United States, you do need a license, a wedding license, a wedding certificate. You need to get your wedding license to give to your minister. Now, there are some states, I know Colorado has a couple of counties where the actual officiant fills out the paperwork and gives it back to the couple. But you want to always find a licensed officiant. And that's the first thing. So wherever you're at, you need to find out who is licensed. You want to ask the officiant as you're interviewing that person, he or she, if they are properly licensed. And let me tell you why that's important. If you're not properly licensed and you perform a wedding ceremony, and later on, 30, 40, 50 years later, one partner has passed away and you're trying to claim benefits, you need a legal certificate. Now, not the keepsake one, but an actual legal document that has been filed with the clerk's office, the county, whatever municipal, wherever you're living, at least in the United States. You don't have that, you're not married. That's all there is. If you don't file the paperwork properly, you are not married. And we had this happen here in Las Vegas. We had this incident happen 40 years later. A widow came back. The actual documents were never filed by the minister. And that was devastating, devastating. So you need to find out what licensing requirements there are, and not just leave it incumbent upon your officiant, your minister. You're the couple getting married. I recommend you find out, you do your homework. So for example, I live in Nevada, right? I live in Las Vegas. I can perform a wedding ceremony anywhere in Nevada. I'm licensed. However, if I go outside of the state, even though I'm licensed here, I need to find out what the requirements are outside of Nevada to make sure that I am legally binding to whatever agreement with the couple. If I perform a ceremony, I want to make sure that when I file the documents that they're legal. And that's an obligation you have. And most people think that, oh, you know what? We can have our friend, they can go get a temporary license and they can perform the ceremony. That's true, but you need to make sure they file the paperwork. Sometimes they forget, especially if you have a friend or a family member that is part of the celebration day. Maybe they had a little too much to drink, right? Whatever it is. And they forget, or they don't properly fill out the paperwork, or they put the wrong date, the wrong location. These are things that are very important. And that's why you need a licensed wedding officiant. Now, you can have anybody perform your ceremony. If you have a family member, a friend that you just want them to perform the ceremony, have them become the officiant of honor. Have them perform the ceremony or have them come up and say a few words. But you want to have a licensed person performing that ceremony. You want to know that they're credible. Okay, a licensed person's credible. They're going to follow the paperwork in a timely fashion. And it's going to be correct. Because sometimes we forget, and we don't necessarily, after we got married, we don't necessarily reach out and ask for the paperwork or go and go back to the municipal where the paperwork was recorded and request the certified documents. Because they all need, just like you have an instrument that you file when you have a mortgage, right? They file it. It's actually recorded. The same thing with a marriage license. It's actually recorded in the city, county, state, wherever you live. And it has to have that stamp, that emblem that said it's been recorded and acknowledged. So don't overlook the fact that, why do you need a wedding officiant? You need a wedding officiant, first of all, because they're also seasoned. They know exactly what to do during a wedding ceremony, especially if you decide to add something on like a lasso ceremony or maybe a hand fasting ceremony. And that person that you have dedicated, that you dedicated them to do their ceremony, they might not know how to do that. They might not know the actual format of a wedding ceremony. So these are things you need to think about when you're putting together your special day. And most couples have a tendency of overlooking this. The officiant is like the last thing they think about. And it should be the first, because the officiant is the kickoff to your special day. The officiant starts the whole trajectory for your celebration that day. And if you have an officiant that's not seasoned, that's not credentialized, that doesn't know what they're doing, you know what? You're not going to enjoy that day. And it's a day that you might have been dreaming about for many years. And it's important that you live up to that dream comes true the way you want, the way you envision it coming to life. But it starts with you as a couple. That's right. You need to take the first step. So when you're getting ready to get married and you have the venue, you have the photographer, the videographer, the dress, you've tasted the food, you know the cake that you're going to have, your invites are going out. Don't overlook the importance of a wedding officiant, because a wedding officiant, like I said, it's the kickoff for your special day. That person will make all the difference, because what that person says to you will stay with you and your partner for the rest of your life. And the words that they say might be embedded in your mind and heart, that when you're going through some fabulous times with your partner, highlights, you're going to remember that. And then there's going to be times maybe in your relationship when you're going through those low points where what the officiant might have said to the minister actually helped heal you with maybe some pain. So don't ever overlook an officiant. An officiant is the kickoff, the trajectory for your special day. And you want to find out that the officiant is properly licensed and that they're in good standing. And don't just leave it incumbent upon the officiant. You do your homework as well. You did your homework on what? Your clothing that you're going to wear, right? Your dress, your suit, whatever it is. You did your homework on the venue. And you probably combed Instagram for a great videographer and photographer. You probably spent hours and then looking at table settings, place settings, and then tastings. But when it comes to your officiant, you take the time. You spend the time to research because you want an officiant that's going to suit you and your partner. And maybe somebody that incorporates your guests or your children into the ceremony. Because that officiant is an extension of you. And again, that officiant is going to be in your life for the rest of your life. They might not physically be there, but they're going to be in your life for the rest of your life with the words they say. So I hope this gave you a better understanding of why you need to have a licensed officiant. Now, if this podcast is something you like, please write a review. And maybe you know somebody that needs to hear this, that's getting married or planning a wedding ceremony soon. They don't have to be coming to Las Vegas, anywhere. You might want to forward this to a friend as well. And if you want to check out a little bit more about me, just go to my website, trueloveknots.com, and that's KNOTS.com. I speak about love. I teach officiating, and I also talk about finding love again. And again, please write a review. I'd love to hear what you have to say, because you know what? When we have feedback, feedback helps me grow and helps the community grow. So in the meantime, continue to stay healthy, happy, and safe. And as I always say, spread love. Have a great day.